guys, welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell from the thumbnail of this video, this is a pretty exciting video. So I have a big haul for you guys, but it's a haul that I don't even really know what I'm getting myself into, because these 4 bags of books were given to me by my sister-in-law, and she said she either has read them and she just doesn't need to keep them around, or she just kind of wants to move them out of her house. And so of course she contacted me first because we both really like to read, and based on the tops of these bags, like the books that I can see at the top, these are good bags of books. So we're gonna go through these together, and I'm gonna try my best to be as picky as I can, because I just want to keep the books that I'm really certain that I want to read, or books that I'm actually really excited about, or have kind of been on my radar for a long time. I'm not going to keep anything that I'm unsure about. At least I'm going to try my best. So the first book that I saw that I'm really excited about is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. Now, this is a Book of the Month book, and she is subscribed to Book of the Month, and so I think that a lot of these books are going to be Book of the Month books, and I know that she read this, and she wasn't a huge fan of it, and the reason she isn't a huge fan was because she thought this was going to be more horror and more vampire related, but she says it's more of a romance, and she wasn't really prepared for a romance, and so I think that it just didn't hit the way that she was expecting it to hit, and that's why she didn't like it as much. But because I'm a big romance reader and I love romance, I think I could possibly really like this one. So I'm actually going to keep this one because I think it would be pretty cool. So this one is a book that I've been wanting to read forever, and it is called Fish in a Tree. This is a book, I think it's for it's a middle grade book, but it's about a girl who is diagnosed with dyslexia, and her kind of journey through school with dyslexia, and how she learned to embrace it and accept it about herself, and how she kind of found her own strengths. Even though her strengths weren't like reading and writing, she found her strengths like in other areas. And I have been wanting to read this book forever. It's actually really interesting because me and my sister-in-law are the biggest readers of the family, but both of our daughters have dyslexia. So it's very interesting that it worked out that way. So I'm really excited to read this, and I think it's gonna be really good. Okay, so the next one is The Stardust Thief. This is also Book of the Month. I think this is a pretty new release as well. I don't know if I want to read this one. I kind of read the flap because this was sitting on the top, so I already read the flap to this one, and I don't think that this has a huge element of romance in it. So I think I'm going to put this in the maybe pile. I know that she read it and she gave it 4 stars, I think. So I think it's pretty good, but I just don't know if it's like my cup of tea. So I'm going to put this in the maybe pile and then see kind of how many books I end up with at the end, and I may decide to keep this one. I'm not sure. Okay, so the next one is Monster Madness. This looks like it's kind of more of like a middle grade. She has 3 kids as well, so this is probably one of her kids' books. I could keep this for Elena, but I just don't think that she would read it, to be honest. So I think I'm going to pass on this one. As much as I would want her to read this, I just don't think that she'll read it. So, oh, this one is exciting. So this is Nothing But Blackened Teeth. So I know my sister-in-law read this one, and she actually didn't like it very much. She said it was pretty weird and gross and disturbing, I think, and it wasn't really her cup of tea. But since this is a novella and it's really short, and I really love horror novellas, I'm gonna give this a try. Even though she said she didn't like it, I want to see if I like it. Okay, Scott Westerfeld, what is this called? Uglies. So I think that this book is about a alternate world, or like a dystopian world, where everyone starts off ugly or something, and then you get like this medical procedure that makes everyone pretty, but you get this medical procedure at like a certain time in your life, and once you get the medical procedure, you become pretty. And it's about like this main character who decides not to go through with this procedure, so she decides to stay ugly, and that's pretty much all I know about it. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it sounds interesting. Like, that concept, I'm like, that sounds really interesting, but I just don't know if I would read this, if I'm being honest. I think that this is a series, and I don't know, I've heard mixed things about it, like, even though it's an interesting concept, because it is an interesting concept, I've heard mixed things. I'm gonna put this in maybe for now. Next one is Twilight. I'm going to put this in no, and I'm just not that interested. We have Eclipse right here. I'm going to pass that one on. And then we have Breaking Dawn and New Moon. So these are all the Twilight books, and I just don't want to read Twilight. Okay, so Thistlefoot. She read this one. I saw that she read this one, and she gave this 4 stars. And I think, what is this about? I don't know about this one. This one sounds kind of cool. Like, the cover's really cool. It's about these kids that get an inheritance, and part of their inheritance is this house with like chicken feet on it. I don't know. It sounds kind of weird. She gave it 4 stars, but it doesn't really sound like something I'd be super interested in. Like there's no, I don't know, it sounds very whimsical, very kind of weird. Let me know if you guys have read this. And if you guys have read this, maybe I'll keep it. I'll put it in the maybe pile for now. Oh, look at this. This is on my TBR for this month. But I'm listening to the audiobook of it. Oh, the font's pretty big. This is so funny because she read this and I thought she read the audiobook of it. And so I had it on my audiobook because it was free. But she has like the copy of it. That's so funny. So I'm not going to take this one because I'm already listening to the audiobook of it and I got it for free. So I'm not going to take this, but that's pretty funny. If I wouldn't have put it on my TBR for this month and if I didn't have the audiobook, I totally would have kept this one. So that was bag number 1. Okay, so bag number 2, we have The Grim Legacy. Borrow the Magic If You Dare. So this looks like it's maybe like a YA or middle grade or something, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm thinking this is like a YA or a middle grade. Not really my cup of tea. I'm gonna pass on that one. Whoa, okay, so I wasn't expecting all these. So we have Rick Riordan's The House of Hades, The Mark of Athena, The Blood of Olympus, The Lost Hero, Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, and Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. Wait, is this the same? Why is it named the same thing? The Hammer of Thor and the Ship of the Dead. And then The Son of Neptune. That is a lot of books. She could get some major money for these. Why is she getting rid of these? She could sell these. I think that sometimes she just doesn't want to deal with it, but like, that's a lot of really good books. Here, and they're in really good condition. So that's all those books. I am not going to keep these. I could keep these maybe for Elena. I just don't think that she would read them. And then we have The Sold Gold Kid. So this looks like it's a kid novel. So I'm going to pass on that one. That was the second bag. Now we're on the third bag. So first we have Artemis by Andy Weir. So as you guys know, I loved Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. It was so good, but I've heard that this is not his best work. This is his worst book that he's written. That's what I've heard. But because I loved Project Hail Mary so much, I kind of want to give this one a try just because I liked Andy Weir's writing style. Now, I'm not going to sit here and hope that this is going to be like phenomenal or anything, but I want to try it. So I'm going to put this in keep just because I liked Project Hail Mary. The next one is Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I've never actually read a Gillian Flynn book before. So I do have one Gillian Flynn book. It's called The Grown Up, and I actually read like half of that book, but I never finished it. But I do want to read it again eventually. But I think I'm gonna pass on this one. I think that this is like a mystery thriller with like a killer and all that kind of thing. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this one. I usually like to read a lot of my thrillers on audio anyways. Like I do have some physical thrillers, but I prefer thrillers on audio a lot of times. And we got Crave by Tracy Wolff. I don't think that she read this one. Isn't this that new like vampire series that came out recently? That's supposed to kind of be like Twilight but isn't like Twilight? This is very like YA looking on the inside. I don't think I would read it, to be honest. I mean it's a pretty thick book. I think that there's like fantasies that I would want to read before this one, so I think I'm going to pass on this. Let me know if you guys read the Crave series, because I know this was really popular there for a second. And I was always kind of curious about it, but like I never picked it up just because I thought there would be things that I liked more. So this is The Haunting of the Gillespie House by Darcy Coates. So I've read 2 Darcy Coates, and there's another Darcy Coates book that I really want to read. I can't remember the name of it, but I think I'm going to keep this one because I gave the other Darcy Coates books 4 stars and then the other one 3 stars. And there's something about Darcy Coates that's just like really simple. And you know when you're just kind of in a mood for something that's like fast-paced, simple, not too much world building, like it moves really, really, really fast. That's what I really liked about those books. And I think I put them in my video titled books to read if you have a short attention span, because that's definitely the types of books that they were. They just moved really, really quick. So I think I'm going to keep this one because I think it's a perfect book when I'm in a certain type of mood. So I'm going to keep it. Then we have Wicked Lovely by Melissa Marr. I have never heard of this, and I have no idea what it's about, but it looks like it's a YA, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip this one, only because I don't really know anything about it. Oh look! Rock, paper, scissors! Well, frig! I have this book right here, but it's in paperback, and this one's in hardback. But do you know what sucks? Is I bought this full price at my local bookstore. But I could have just got it from her for free. Don't you hate when that kind of thing happens? And this one is in hardback. Should I just like switch them out and keep the hardback? I think I might keep the hardback. I'm gonna put the paperback in here, and then I'm gonna let my other sister-in-law take this one if she wants it. Sorry, Rachel. And we've got In a Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. So I've read one, did I read? Oh yes, I read one Ruth Ware. I read the Turn of the Key, is that what it was called? And I actually liked that one. I gave it 4 stars. It was a little forgettable, I'm not gonna lie. What is this one about? Oh, this sounds interesting. Okay, I think I'm gonna keep this one. So it's about this like reclusive writer who doesn't really leave her apartment, but then one day she gets a call from an old friend and invites her to this party, and then she goes, and the next thing she knows, she's awake in a hotel room and she doesn't remember anything that happened. And I love books like that where there's like this weird like memory loss, you know, where they don't know what happened and you're trying to figure out the whole time like what happened, and it's weird and it's mysterious. Like, I like books like that, so I am going to keep this one. We have The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I read this one already. Really good. I gave this 5 stars. So if Rachel, you're watching this, you should take this one once you get these books because it's really good. The American Miracle, Divine Providence in the Rise of the Republic. No. Then we have The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. So I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and I actually liked that book. I read it last Christmas and I liked it a lot, and it was a really good audiobook, but I don't think I would have liked it physically because the beginning of the book was really slow. But because I don't think I would have liked that book physically, I don't think I'm going to keep this one because it's physical, and I don't know if I want to read Lucy Foley physically just because that was kind of my thoughts on her other book that I read. So I'm gonna skip this one. Okay, next is Ruffian, Burning from the Start. So this is like a, I don't know, a horse riding book. No, not my cup of tea, not gonna keep that one. We have Cassandra Clare, The Red Scrolls of Magic. I think that this is part of that whole Cassandra Clare series, which I have never read and I don't plan on reading that series. So I'm going to get rid of this one because I don't plan on reading that. Oh, then we have The House of Shadows. This is, I think, the book that I read. I think it is. That my sister-in-law let me borrow, and I ended up reading it. And this is the exact one that I read. And then also this one. This is the other one that I read. So, already read those. An Anatomy of Beasts. Have you guys heard of this one? An Anatomy of Beasts. I have never heard of that. A Future to Protect, a Past to Betray by Olivia A. Cole. Okay, so this is a sci-fi where you like go to a different planet and there's like all these different planets and stuff. She has magic powers, she has friends. So I'm gonna pass on this one. So we have The Last Bag. We have The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. So I did read The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James, and I didn't like that book that much. It was very forgettable. I read it on audio, and the entire time I just was so disconnected. I was detached from the story. Just didn't really care that much about the characters, and I was kind of confused throughout the whole entire thing. Like, it was one of those books that I just wasn't connecting myself to, so I think I'm going to pass on this one just because I don't know if I'm a fan of this author. So then she has a duology here, Blood of a Thousand Stars and Empress of a Thousand Skies. These are like a, I think, space opera type of thing, like a YA space opera. I'm going to pass on these. The only reason is because I think I saw this one at Dollar Tree, and when I see books at Dollar Tree, I'm like, why are they at Dollar Tree? You know what I mean? Is it because they're not very good? I don't know. So I'm gonna pass on these. I do like myself a good duology though, I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's a part of me that's like kind of curious, but not curious enough, I don't think, to read them. So I'm gonna put them in the no pile. Dragon's Code. Dragon Riders of Pern. That sounds interesting. It sounds kind of like a Fourth Wing type of thing, but I'm not going to read this. This kind of looks like a guy book. Nothing wrong with a guy book, but I prefer some romance in my fantasy, so. Face Like Glass by Frances Hardinge. Hardinge? I don't think that I would read it ever, so I'm going to pass on it, but it does sound kind of interesting, I'm not going to lie. Oh, Elin Hilderbrand. I've heard a lot of things about this author. This is The Perfect Couple. And I have heard Elin Hilderbrand is really a fun author, like really addicting, kind of like that good, not good trash, I wouldn't consider this trash, but like that really like addicting type of writing style. So I'm going to keep this because I have heard really good things about Elin Hilderbrand. Oh, there's this one. Didn't like this book. I gave it 2 stars. The Sundown Motel. There's just a few left, you guys. Just a few left. The Broken Girls. This is also by Simone St. James. Again, not a huge fan of this author, I don't think, so I'm going to pass on it. The Sleigh Bells Chalet. Chalet? Is that how you say that? Shallot? Chalet? I feel really stupid. Okay, that's going to be a no. Mortuary Confidential. Undertakers Spill the Dirt. Oh. When the casket reached the front of the sanctuary, there was a loud cracking sound as the bottom fell out, and with a thump, down came Father Iggy. From shootouts at funerals to dead men screaming and runaway corpses, undertakers have plenty of unusual stories to tell and a special way of telling them. Oh, this sounds interesting. Just kind of like read a couple stories here and there. I'm going to keep this. It's random, but I kind of want to keep it. Then we have No Exit by Taylor Adams, which I love this book. It's actually up on my shelf right now, so highly recommend this if you haven't read it. Oh, A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. I've heard things about this. Some people really liked it, and some people are so-so on this one. I don't know what to think about this. Rebecca Ross, A River Enchanted. I think I'm going to keep this. So I'm going to do a little more research on this and then decide, but I'm going to put it in my keep pile. Then we have Nicholas Sparks' The Wedding. I've never read a Nicholas Sparks book before. I've always actually been kind of curious to read a Nicholas Sparks, if I'm being honest, because I love myself like The Notebook, and like all of his movies are just kind of cute and endearing, you know what I mean? But I think I'm going to pass. Like, you can find Nicholas Sparks books at Goodwill all the time, so I'm going to pass on this one. So that is all of the books. There were some really good books in there, I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to show you guys the ones that I ended up picking again. We've got A River Enchanted, Mortuary Confidential, Elin Hilderbrand, The Perfect Couple, In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware, Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, The Haunting of the Gillespie House, Artemis by Andy Weir, Nothing But Black and Teeth, Fish in a Tree, and Vampires of El Norte. And then for my unsure pile, I have The Hunting Party. I think I'm going to get rid of this one. I think I'm going to say no to this one. Just because if I want to read this, I think like I'd read it on audio instead. So I'm going to put that in no. I'm curious about this one, you guys. There's something about this that makes me curious. But I just don't think I would like it. But that cover is just stunning, isn't it? Like, it's a great cover. But I just don't think I'll read it. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. I don't think I'll read it. I'm going to say no to this one too. Because I just don't know. I mean, this sounds cool, but I don't think I'm going to read it either. And this one. I'm going to keep this one for now. But I want you guys to tell me in the comments if you think that I would like this. My sister-in-law gave it 4 stars. But me and my sister-in-law do have differing tastes sometimes, so I don't know if I'm going to like this like she did, but if you guys have read this and you think that I would like it personally, like me, let me know, and then I will decide whether to keep it or not. But I'm going to put it in the yes pile for now. Alright guys, that is it for this little spontaneous and surprising haul, because it was a surprise for me just as much as it was for you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and let me know if you think I should keep any of the ones that I said I'd say no on. I'd be very curious if you guys have read any of those really, really random ones, because some of those I haven't heard of at all before. So that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.